Welcome to English for Immigrants. If you're learning English and struggle with phrases like has been, have been, and had been, you're not alone. These expressions confuse a lot of people, especially those who are not sure about English grammar. But don't worry, because by the end of this video, you'll finally understand how to use them correctly in real-life conversations. Whether you're at work, at the store, or talking to your kids' teachers, you'll be ready to use English with more confidence. Let's start with has been and have been. These forms are part of what we call the present perfect, continuous tense in English. This tense is used to talk about something that started in the past and is still happening now or just finished. For example, imagine you've been working for hours and someone asks, "What are you doing?" You might say, "I have been working since 8 a.m. That means the action started at 8 and is still happening. Here's a situation. You're at work in a restaurant and the manager asks if you've cleaned the tables. You say, "Yes, I have been cleaning them for the last 20 minutes. This shows that the action began in the past and is still going on. If you are talking about another person, like your co-worker Maria, you would say, "Maria has been cleaning the kitchen." Why? Because with he, she, or it, we use has been. With I, you, we, and they, we use have been. Let's look at a home situation. Imagine you're tired and your partner asks, "Why are you so tired?" You could say, "I've been cooking and cleaning all day." That's a very normal use of present perfect continuous. It tells the listener that you've been doing that activity all day, and it's probably the reason why you're tired now. If you want to talk about your kids, you might say, "They have been watching TV since the afternoon." Again, the action started earlier and is continuing. Now let's compare that with had been. This form is used for the past perfect continuous. That means we're talking about something that was happening before another action in the past. It's not connected to the present moment anymore. For example, I had been working at the supermarket for 5 years before I moved to New York. This tells us that the working started in the past and continued until another past moment, moving to New York. Let's say you're telling your friend a story about last year. You say, "I was so tired last night because I had been walking around the mall all day." Again, the walking happened before you got tired. Or maybe you want to explain why your child was upset. She had been waiting for the bus for an hour, and it never came. The waiting happened before the result, feeling upset. Another example. Imagine you were preparing for an English test. You might say, "I had been studying English every day before the test." That studying was in progress before the test happened, so the structure had been plus verb plus ing. Helps show the timeline clearly. It's also important to notice the time expressions that go with these tenses. With has been and have been, we usually see expressions like since for lately or recently. For example, "He has been feeling sick since Monday," or "We have been looking for a new apartment for 2 weeks." These phrases help show how long something has been happening. With had been, we often use expressions like before, until, or by the time. For example, "By the time we got to the store, it had been raining for hours," or "She had been practicing for months before the concert." These help give a clear sense of which action happened first in the past. Let's go through a few more practical situations. Imagine you are applying for a job and the manager asks about your experience. You might say, "I have been working as a cleaner for the past 3 years." This shows that the experience is recent and still relevant. If you're talking about a past job, you'd say, "I had been working at that company before I started my own business." This gives the listener a full picture of your work history. If your friend asks you why your shirt is wet, you could say, "I have been washing the car." That's a recent activity that caused the result they can see now. If you are telling a story about last weekend, you could say, "I was exhausted because I had been fixing the garage all day." Why? Let's not forget about pronunciation and rhythm. Native speakers often connect the words in speech. "I've been working" sounds like "I've been working." This is very common in spoken English. It's good to practice these phrases out loud, using the same rhythm and pronunciation you hear from native speakers. That way your English sounds more natural and people understand you more easily. Let's try a few more examples. "I have been learning English with this channel." "She has been helping her daughter with homework." "They have been going to the gym every morning." "I had been living in California before I moved to Texas." "He had been sleeping when the phone rang." "We had been talking for hours before the kids arrived." As you can see, the meaning changes depending on when the action started and whether it's still happening or already finished. That's why it's so important to know the difference. Wa. Let's not forget about pronunciation and rhythm. Native speakers often connect the words in speech. "I've been working" sounds like "I've been working." This is very common in spoken English. It's good to practice these phrases out loud, using the same rhythm and pronunciation you hear from native speakers. That way, your English sounds more natural and people understand you more easily. Now imagine you're at the doctor's office and he asks, "How long have you been feeling this pain?" You could answer, "I've been feeling it for 3 days." But if you're telling someone about it the next week, you'd say, "I had been feeling pain before I went to the hospital." Let's also imagine you're learning how to cook American food. You could say, "I've been watching cooking videos every evening." It's something ongoing. But if you're talking about what you did before changing hobbies, you might say, "I had been cooking a lot before I started focusing on exercise." Latse. Now let's bring this to everyday life in the US. Maybe you're working 2 jobs and someone asks, "How do you manage your time?" You can say, "I have been working double shifts since last month." But if you're talking about a job, you quit, you say, "I had been working there until I found a better opportunity." Let's go even deeper. Think of a moment when you were really frustrated. You might say, "I had been trying to fix my phone for hours and it still didn't work." That gives emotion and a sense of time to the story. If you're talking about something more current, like trying to learn English, you'd say, "I have been trying different methods to improve." Even with friendships or relationships, this grammar helps express emotion and experience. For example, "We have been dating for 2 years." Or "They had been fighting a lot before they broke up." Lee, every time you want to talk about something that has been happening over time, use these structures. Have been and has been for things that are still going or just finished. Had been for things that happened before something else in the past. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. You don't need to memorize rules. Focus on listening to English, repeating phrases out loud, and trying to use them in your real life. whether you're at work, at school meetings, or just chatting with neighbors. Try to include these expressions in your conversations. You can also do shadowing. That means listening to a sentence and repeating it exactly how it sounds, like a shadow. For example, she has been working all morning. Say it a few times until your mouth feels comfortable with it. Do the same with, I had been working before lunch. The more you do it, the easier it gets. Remember, learning English takes time, but with the right tools and motivation, you'll improve every day. Use what you've learned here to express yourself clearly, tell your stories with more detail, and feel proud of how far you've come. Keep practicing, keep learning, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how real progress happens. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it and want to keep learning English in a way that fits your life, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Like this video, leave a comment below with an example using has been, have been, or had been, and share this with other immigrants who want to improve their English. Together we can grow and succeed in this new country. See you in the next video. Limiti sai.